Introducing yet another guy that I once raced in a 40-yard dash, but I'm pretty sure he fell and cracked a rib. We'll get some clarification on that here in just a moment. This dude can smack a wiffle ball way past the fence in his backyard. DJ Uiagalelei's biggest fan and Clemson YouTuber, Pigskin Pete. Y'all show Pete some love down in the comment section.
Wow, I gotta say, man, that's probably the best intro I've ever got on YouTube ever. So kudos to you for that. You made me feel good for a minute.
Hey, well, you know what's pretty crazy? You are the first guest I've had that I kind of just made that up as I went right now.
That was great.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Yeah. Now, can we go ahead before we jump in and start talking about this? Can we get some clarification on the 40-yard dash thing? Because you were hurting that day whenever we left. So what became of that? What happened?
First of all, I would like to say I was not the only one to fall. I was the first to fall, and I was the only one to fall twice in the same 40 yards. But the reason everybody saw me fall is because I was in front of them. I mean, if they were in front of me, they would have never seen me fall. So I was in front of them. I fell, then they all passed me. You know the story. But there was ice and snow on the ground. I'm going with that. That's really my excuse. And we saved that event for last, and we probably should have done it earlier in the day because I was already worn out by then. You know, yeah. we did all the other events. That was the last one, and so my legs were jello. So I'm blaming it on the ice, snow, and the fact that my legs were tired. But
that's fair.
Yeah, I did. Well, I didn't actually crack my ribs. I thought I did. I guess they were just really badly bruised because I came home, and after about a week or so, they weren't feeling any better. So I went to the doctor and got x-rayed and all that. And the funny thing was being in the doctor's office, and the doctor says, "So tell me what happened." I said, "You wouldn't even believe it if I told you." He said, "Okay, fair enough."
It's funny because a lot of people on my channel, I didn't get the opportunity to upload a lot of clips from the Slob Olympics. So the other night I had Traveling Fools on, and I was like, yeah, I raced this dude one time, and he was dressed up as Bigfoot, and everyone was just so confused. It's like the best thing ever. So I love it. It was definitely way too cold that day, man. It was rough.
It's about 15 degrees and 25, 30 mile an hour winds. It was brutal. It was brutal.
So for those of you who don't know, Pigskin Pete does have a YouTube channel where he covers the Clemson Tigers. And I wanted to ask you how long you've been doing this, because I think this is my 6th year on YouTube, and I think you're pretty close to that, right?
Yeah, so October was 5th anniversary, so 5 years and a couple of months.
Okay. Pete does a lot of call-in shows, a lot of really good content. I'm personally a fan of the State of the Fan address that you do every week. I think that's really cool. And what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to link Pete's social media stuff and his YouTube channel down in my description. It's also going to be posted up somewhere on here, probably above his head. You guys got to remember that we're playing Clemson this week, but we also play them next year, and we also play them in 2024. So you're going to want to be able to jump over there, maybe troll him if we find a way to win one of those years. I'm just saying. So you're definitely going to want to check him out. It's some top-notch stuff. And I also wanted to ask you, because I don't have kids. I know that you have some kids. You're on YouTube. The cool thing for kids these days is Twitch, YouTube. Do your kids think you're a cool YouTube streamer, or how does that work?
No.
No?
Both of them watch a lot of YouTube, but they have no interest in college football. Well, at least my oldest one doesn't. My youngest one, he's still a little bit young to get into. You know, he's still into whatever the 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds watch on YouTube, which is not what I do. Maybe they might think it's cool that I'm a YouTuber, but they have zero interest in my content at all.
So maybe if you were streaming like Minecraft or Grand Theft Auto or something,
exactly.
I got you.
There you go.
I got you. That makes sense. I always just kind of found that interesting because my nephews think I'm like the cool uncle. They're always showing their friends at school, like, look, my uncle's on YouTube. It's so cool. But it's kind of the same thing. They don't have a clue what I'm talking about. They don't even know who the Miami Hurricanes are. So
yeah,
maybe
when they get a little bit older, they'll appreciate it more. But right now, they just don't care.
Fair. Now, I know in my intro, I made a little joke about you being DJ's biggest fan. I have to ask you, and you, Pete, you can be honest, all right? How do you feel about DJ? Are you a fan of him or not? Because I'm seeing Clemson fans all around scream that they want Cade. How does Pete feel?
So I am a fan of DJ.
Okay.
It's difficult because, I'm really a fan of DJ, the guy, more than I am DJ, the football player. But I also do have a lot of respect for DJ as a football player. And look, after the season he had last year, I was a little bit on the fence, like most people were. Let's see what happened, because there's a lot of different reasons the way he looked in 2021. It wasn't all him, believe me. But he came out of the gate in the Georgia Tech game, which is week 1. And the offense looked pretty similar to it did in 2021. It just didn't look good. And so, like most fans do, I go off the deep end the next day with my state of the fan address. I start calling for them to bench DJ. We need to see what Cade looks like. And then after that, DJ started playing really well. And Dabo Swinney's been very clear from day one that DJ is his guy. He's never, ever once said, now he'll say, the best player is going to play this and that, and there's a competition, but all coaches say that.
Yeah.
But he's been very clear that DJ's my guy. And so, but DJ played really well. He was having a phenomenal season all the way up until Syracuse, and everything just, the wheels fell off, and it was like, here we go again. Flashbacks of 2021. And then that sort of carried over into the next week against Notre Dame. Although that was more of there was a lot of issues in that game too. But anyway, to answer your question, I trust Dabo's evaluation of who the best quarterback is. And this is based on history. If you go back to 2018, when Trevor Lawrence came in as the hotshot 5-star quarterback, and Kelly Bryant was the starter, he had been waiting behind Deshaun Watson for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. It was finally Kelly Bryant's team. All Kelly Bryant does is go out there and go 4-0. In the first 4 games of the season, and looked really good doing it too. It wasn't like, he just was scraping by. And Dabo Swinney benches him and puts in Lawrence, and because of the 4-game redshirt rule. And the rest is history. They go on to win a national championship that year. It's really hard to bench a guy who's been on your team for 3 years and goes out there and looks good for the first 4 games and wins. But he did it. So when Dabo Swinney says in 2022 that DJ is the best option that we have on this team, I have to believe him. So that's where I stand with that. And I am a fan of DJ. I wish him nothing but the best, but he has his deficiencies, and he's just very inconsistent. When DJ's playing his best game, he's as good as anybody in the country, right? But when he's not, man, it's either way up here or way down here. There's not really an in between with him. Yeah,
that's fair. That's a very level-headed response. I can respect that. For us, we're currently rocking with our 3rd-string quarterback because we have issues with Tyler Van Dyke getting injured. We put in Jake Garcia against Florida State. He throws a pick. He's had like 6 or 7 turnovers this season in just his few snaps that he's played. So it's the quarterback situation is always something that fans argue about all season long, of course. So with Clemson, I also wanted to ask you right quick, and then we're about to get into our picks and everything for this game. I mean, you guys are sitting at 9-1 right now with your only loss to Notre Dame. 2 games left on the schedule, Miami and South Carolina. You're already locked in for the ACC championship game against North Carolina. Realistically, how far does Clemson take this thing this year? I mean, I'm not asking for a prediction necessarily because it's tough to do that, right? But I mean, like, are you feeling good? Like, I mean, also, I think North Carolina is also 9-1, if I'm not mistaken, facing them in the conference championship. I mean,
yeah, and Clemson's weakness this year is struggling against, a really good passing quarterback and a mobile quarterback, which Drake May is. Mm-hmm. But to answer your question about how far do I see them taking this, I suspect that Clemson will win out and win the ACC. Now, that's definitely not a given, but I suspect that's what will happen. My fear, and this is going to sound terrible, this is where the fan police are going to come after me. My fear is that they'll go 12-1 and backdoor their way in the playoffs. You say, well, what kind of fan would not want to see their team in the playoffs? Well, I guess this one, because I just don't think that they are a national championship caliber team. So every year that Clemson's been in the playoffs so far, I mean, they've been in 6 years. Every year going into that, I've had a feeling that there's at least a chance that they can win this thing. Mm-hmm. I don't have that feeling this year, mainly because of the offense, and mainly and also because of some of the other teams that will also be in the playoffs. So, in my estimation, I know a lot of people, especially Clemson people, have some sort of expectation for Clemson to make the playoffs every year because they've made it so many times. And that's the only way the season is considered to be successful. That's not the way I think as a fan. So just winning the ACC and being 12-1 is already an amazing season as far as I'm concerned. If they get an Orange Bowl bid and somehow pull that out 13-1, that's really where the road that I would like to go down. A big bowl win, ACC championship. I'd be happy with that.
Let me tell you, Miami fans would definitely settle for that in 2022.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I try to tell people. It's like, you know how many teams around the country would love to be in the position that Clemson's in right now? I mean,
oh yeah.
So I totally get it. Listen, I've been there. I've been exactly where if you're over the age of 30, you've been following college football. I don't care which team you follow. We've all been through those years that are tough. All of us.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how much, even as Miami fans, like, we want to throw shade and hate on Clemson, you guys have honestly kind of set the standard in the ACC over the last, at least 5 to 7 years, as far as I can remember.
Yeah.
So let me also ask you one last quick one that I got to get in there before we get to our picks. Is there a college football team out there that you just cannot stand, or maybe a fan base that just gets on your last nerve? I'm giving you an opportunity here to say something if you want to say it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I got you. So here's the deal. Everybody knows I hate the University of South Carolina. I hate their university. I hate their fans. I hate their colors. I hate their football team. I hate their stadium. I hate the city that the university resides in. I hate everything about it. But that's the easy cop out because I'm a Clemson guy.
True.
And everybody, I mean, the feeling is mutual. They hate me and everything about Clemson just as much. So let's take it outside of the state of South Carolina, and let's take it outside of the ACC, and let's go with the worst fan base in the history of the sport, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, anybody...
Well, they're going to love you for that one, Pete.
Well, look, I've got a long-standing relationship with the Buckeyes, but since I've been on YouTube, there's been several games, between the two teams, and those are some of my favorite weeks leading into those games, is going back and forth with them, and quite honestly, some of the favorite videos that I've ever done have been about Ohio State. So, yeah,
you just scored some brownie points with Miami fans. Let me tell you. You went from there was going to be at least a handful that jumped over and subscribed to your channel. Now it's going to be hundreds, possibly thousands. I'm just letting you know. So
that's great. That's great. I don't know if you knew this. I think I've told you this before. Have I ever been on your show before? You've been on mine.
You have not. I've been on yours. You've not been on mine. This is the first time.
Yeah. I've been with so many different people, I lose track. But anyway, I've told this story before. Whenever I started my YouTube channel in 2017, it was in October. And that year was the year that Notre Dame and Miami. Remember when Notre Dame came down to Miami?
Oh, yeah.
So Miami was undefeated, right? I think Notre Dame was undefeated at the time. I, at the time, had only been like maybe 3 or 4 weeks into YouTube at all. I didn't know what I was doing. I had maybe 40 or 50 subscribers. Nobody was watching. Anyway, one day I go on and make a video out of nowhere, kind of trash talking Miami and Mark Richt. And didn't think anything of it, uploaded it, went to bed, woke up the next morning. And then I went from 40 or 50 subscribers, whatever it was at the time, to several hundred overnight. And the video that I posted the night before, where most of my videos were getting 40 and 50 views, had over 3,000 views. All Miami people.
Yep.
So I've had a very interesting relationship with Miami fans over the past 5 years on YouTube. Mostly good, some not good. But I do credit Miami fans for really jumpstarting the channel in the beginning, because you remember when you started doing this, Coop. Like, I don't know if some people have an idea about, you just go out there and start making videos, and within, 3 weeks, you're going to have 1,000 subscribers. I mean, you just don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But it's very easy. The reason most people quit YouTube in the beginning is because you get discouraged early because there's low numbers, nobody's watching. And so that was kind of like, for me, like, hey, there's something here. Like, I had nobody watching. Now there's 4,000 people watching this one video. It sort of gave me the motivation to continue making videos. So I've really got to give a lot of credit to the Miami fans for showing up and showing out for your boy. They kind of really jump-started my channel, for real.
We're pretty cool people, right?
Yeah, there's a ton of you.
Yeah, especially online. People always make the joke that we don't show up in person, but online, Miami fans are as numerous as the stars.
We always make jokes about how many Miami YouTubers there are, which is true. There is a lot more of them than probably anybody else, but you are one of my favorite. Always have been.
I do feel like, guys, that Pete is really, because that's 2 times now that he's complimented Miami fans. I think that he's really trying to stack up the brownie points because of what we're leading into with this next segment, what he's probably about to say. I don't know. I'm not going to put words in his mouth. But what we're going to do is both give our picks for this game. Now, I am going to give a pick and score prediction for it. Pete is not obligated to give a score prediction. He can if he wants to, if he's feeling a little ballsy, a little frisky this morning, or he can just give the pick. I'm going to let that be up to him. What I will do is I will take some pressure off of you, Pete, and I will give my pick first. But I do want to say one thing before I give this pick. I'm actually going to go ahead and write it down before I say this. So there was one thing that I got right about Clemson during the offseason, and there's one thing that I got very wrong. The thing I got right is I said that Clemson would actually be better than what most non-Clemson fans were saying about them. If you'll remember, I came on one of your shows and, a lot of people were dogging Clemson. They said, this is the year that Clemson goes down. This is their off year. They're not going to be very good. And I'm on record saying, I think they're actually going to be just fine. I think they'll be pretty good this year. Now, what I was very wrong about is I also popped on a show with you, and I said that this game would be Mario Cristobal's signature win in the 2022 season that would solidify his position as the Miami Hurricanes' new head coach. And unfortunately, I am backpedaling and retracting that statement that I made in the offseason. Pete, again, I mean, Miami fans are feeling a little more hopeful because we just beat a bad Georgia Tech team. I like Jakari Brown, our technically third man up in the quarterback room. He's mobile. He makes this offense look a little bit different, but you guys have been stacking and developing talent at a much higher level than we have been, and you've been doing it for a long time. So I do not think Miami is there right now. I got 34-17, Clemson dub. The floor is yours, Pete.
So you're pretty close to what I said. As soon as you said you were going to write it down, I started writing down. So
I saw you doing it. So
it's pretty close, and actually my score is closer than yours. But of course, I do have the Clemson Tigers winning the game.
Okay.
I have Clemson winning 31-21, so a 10-point victory, which would not cover the spread. By the way, I think the spread is, what was it, 19? It's a lot.
It's like 19 or 19 and a half. It's floating around in there. Yep.
Well, I have definitely flip-flopped from just last night when I did the Lunch Money show with Uncle Blue. When I had Clemson covering the spread, I've now changed my mind. And the reason I've changed my mind is I've learned a little bit more about this quarterback that you got, the third string guy. So one of the Achilles heels for the Clemson defense, not only a guy that can really attack you downfield, is a mobile quarterback. And from what I'm hearing you say, is that this guy is a dual threat, or maybe even, is he more of a run first guy, or is he just a 50?
Yeah, he will kill you with his legs, man. And it's one of those things that my biggest issue with him is just that he's young. Like, he's a true freshman. His very first start was last week. Now, I mean, he's hungry. Like, that dude is a dog. He literally oozes athleticism. But the game in Death Valley against Clemson, his second start,
Yeah. So I would love to come out here and say that Clemson's going to win this 45-6. I would love nothing more to say that, but I don't know which Clemson team is going to show up from week to week.
Fair.
And if Clemson comes out there and puts it all together, this could be a blowout. If they do like they've been doing for the majority of the season, they'll let Miami hang around for a little while, and hopefully it doesn't even go worse, further south than that. But yeah, the mobile quarterback thing is definitely an Achilles heel for the Clemson defense. Now, this defensive line is going to give him a long day. So
Yeah.
he's going to be running, whether he's running for his life or running for design runs. Either way, he's going to be running a lot. And but like I say, like if you look at the Syracuse quarterback, I think he's hurt now, Schroeder or whatever his name is.
Mm-hmm.
He was tearing it up Clemson's defense on the ground. So that's really probably the key for Miami is to effectively run the ball. And they might be able to hang in there.
Hey, man, look, I would love to be wrong. I would like to be 31-21 would still be, we're used to playing Clemson and it's like 48-0, 63-0. So, I can't necessarily be mad with the kind of season we've had, 5-5, if we could hang within 10 points of Clemson. I mean, still a loss, but I'll have a little smirk on my face, trying to think ahead. So there's our picks, guys. Both of us, unfortunately, picking Clemson to win this game on Saturday afternoon. Pete, do you have any closing statements, any words as we wrap this thing up?
I don't. I would like to let everybody know, because you have a lot of Miami viewers, obviously. I am going to the game this weekend, and I'm going with a group of people, a couple of Miami fans, a couple of Clemson fans. And so for any of you Miami people that are in Clemson, South Carolina, maybe you've been there before, maybe you haven't, we'll be there all weekend. So we're going up Friday, and we'll be there through Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. So pay attention to my channel. If you want to come say hello, if we're hanging out or tailgating somewhere, yeah, the more the merrier. I would love to meet and shake your hand and hang out and have a beer with anybody who wants to. So look forward to seeing you all there.
Pete, you're the man. I would ask you to do this, but I know that's not going to happen. So
Not today. Not today. No.
Hey, I appreciate you, man.
All right, buddy.